expPrior percent 20 WAS percent 206.8% 25 EXTRANSPORTATION percent 200.2% 25% 20 VS percent 200.2% 25% 20 EXPPRIOR percent 20 EX percent 20 TRANSPORT percent 200.6% 25% 20 REVISED percent 20 TO percent 200.8% CAPITAL percent 20 GOODS percent 20 ORDERS percent 20 NONDEFENSE percent 20 EX percent 20 AIR percent 200.9% 25% 20 VS percent 200.3% 20 EXPPRIOR percent 20 CAPITAL percent 20 GOODS percent 20 ORDERS percent 20 NONDEFDNSE percent 20 EX percent 20 AIR percent 201.0% 25% 20 REVISED percent 20 TO percent 201.1% CAPITAL percent 20 GOODS percent 20 SHI PMENTS percent 20 NONDEFENSE percent 20 EX percent 20 AIR percent 200.7% 25% 20 VS percent 200.1% 25% 20 EXPECTEDPRIOR percent 20 SHIPMENTS percent 201.1% 25% 20 MORE percent 20 GOD percent 20 NEWS percent 20 FOR percent 20 T HE percent 20 US percent $20 percent 20 THE percent 20 headline percent 20 THE percent 20 DETAILS percent 20 AND percent 20 THE percent 20 REVISIONS percent 20 WERE percent 20 ALL percent 20 higher dot percent 20 USDJPY percent 20 IS percent 20 ONLY percent 20 UP percent 20 A percent 20 HA and DFUL percent 20 OF percent 20 PIPS percent 20 ON percent 20 THE percent 20 RE LEASE percent 20 BUT percent 20 THATS percent 20 UNDERSTATING percent 20 THE percent 20 GOD percent 20 news dot percent 20 CAPITAL percent 20 SPENDING percent 20 IS percent 20 A percent 20 BIG percent 20 CRITERIA percent 20 AT percent 20 the percent 20 FED percent 20 AND percent 20 THEY percent 20 WILL percent 20 GET percent 20 SOME percent 20 COMFORT percent 20 FROM percent 20 VIS dot percent 20 CAPITAL percent 20 GODS percent 20 ORDERS percent 20 non-DEFENSE percent 20 E XAIR percent 20 AHAVE percent 20 BEEN percent 20 TRENDING percent 20 STRONGER percent 20 IM percent 20 THE percent 20 PAST percent 20 FEW percent 20 MONTHS percent 20 AFTER percent 20 YEARS percent 20 OF percent 20 disappointment